From a trolley that can barely be classified as a vehicle, to wreaking havoc inside a Soviet-era battle tank, and even exploring the depths of the ocean inside a Transformer car, these are all the James Bond cars from worst to best. Tuk-tuk. In Octopussy, when James Bond, and his MI6 contact hop into a tuk-tuk to escape the henchmen in the narrow lanes of Udaipur, you can't help but feel sorry for 007. A tuk-tuk? Seriously? If you ask me, this vehicle is on the verge of being called a trolley. The only difference is it has a motor, and the tuk-tuk used in Octopussy was custom-built for the movie by Bajaj Auto Limited, based on 1983 Honda ATC Series 3-wheelers. According to the official 007 site, the Hero version used in the chase was modified to have extra suspension for stunts. The on-set documentation lists the engine at about 10 brake horsepower, but with the tuning and stunt modifications, the tuk-tuk reportedly hit up to 60 miles per hour during filming. Any higher than that, and the wheels would start to smash that like button, just like you should if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, the wheels would simply fall off. That speed, combined with the tight Indian market streets, packed crowds, and unexpected jumps, made the chase feel chaotic and almost reckless. Even though it's an iconic car, this tuk-tuk is one of the worst cars that have ever appeared in a Bond franchise. Oh, and if you ask me, this next pick is a close second to how bad things can get for 007. Ford Mondeo. Nope, that's not a typo. They actually put an MI6 agent inside a Ford Mondeo. That's the rental car you drive on vacation. And funnily enough, that's exactly what James Bond was doing. Because MI6 couldn't afford anything else in the Bahamas. Or maybe it was the fact that the production team struck a pretty sweet deal with Ford, so they kinda had to use the car in Casino Royale. And don't even get me started on the other brands. That's right, I'm looking at you. Persol 2-244 sunglasses and Sony K800 iPhone. The particular Mondeo is the Mark IV, 2007 to 2014 generation. And for the movie, it wore a sporty body kit and a distinctive tonic blue paint scheme. Under the hood, the production-ready Mondeo line offered up to a 2.5-liter 5-cylinder engine with around 220 horsepower. Nothing remarkable, so we're just gonna stop here before my blood pressure shoots through the roof. At least this next car offered some comedic relief. Citroën 2CV. After Bond's Lotus Esprit Turbo spectacularly erupts into flames, he and Melina Havelock don't get an upgrade. They get a downgrade in personality. They dive into her bright yellow Citroën 2CV, rattling down the twisting mountain roads of Greece, while Gonzalez's men bear down on them in two Peugeot 504 sedans. It bounces through olive groves, skids across dirt roads, and even launches itself over a pursuing Peugeot, clipping the roof as it sails by. The 2CV itself was born in 1939 as a simple, low-cost car for rural France, powered originally by a 602 cubic centimeter flat twin that produced about 33 brake horsepower. Director John Glenn called it a glorious little car, the kind of thing farmers would happily drive over plowed fields. For filming, though, the main Hero 2CV got a transplant. It was a 1.1-liter engine borrowed from the Citroën GS to keep up with the stunt demands. Even though this car wasn't cool-looking, at least it was funny. In fact, several 2CVs were used, with 4 surviving production and a couple sacrificed to the chaos Bond inevitably brings with him. BMW Z3. Overhyped, but under-delivered vehicle in Bond history. BMW paid $17 million for product placement, but they only drove it once, in Cuba. And after that, nothing. Zilch. Zero. Bupkis. The Z3 isn't a bad car. In fact, it's a really good car. But GoldenEye did it no justice. The Z3 of the mid-90s was a compact 2-seater roadster, with typical versions offering a 1.9-liter 4-cylinder, later also 6-cylinder, engine, delivering enough punch for sporty driving without overkill. Its rear-wheel drive, relatively lightweight body, and nimble handling made it agile. This is the kind of car where a chase could feel real and grounded. BMW's design gave it timeless good looks, long bonnet, short rear deck, and that classic roadster profile that stood out on the streets and films. Or at least it would have if they gave it enough screen time. But that's why this next pick actually had decent exposure. BMW Z8. In The World Is Not Enough, the Z8 marks Bond's move toward a modern, sporty Grand Tourer rather than the classic roadster-style Z3. It was a weird blend of prestige and power, and the 007 franchise got it right this time. The BMW Z8 is built with a 4.9-liter V8 engine, delivering about 400 horsepower and capable of 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 4.7 seconds. That's plenty of oomph for a high-stakes spy thriller. Its design is a nod to the legendary BMW 507 from the 1950s. As a limited production model, the Z8 was never a mass-market car, which adds to its air of exclusivity, which makes it perfect for a character like Bond. What makes the Z8 iconic in Bond's world is how it balances beauty, performance, and sophistication. It isn't a gadget-laden spy machine. It's a statement that says Bond doesn't always need gizmos to get the job done. Sometimes he just needs presence, like the presence of a tank on set. T-55 tank. Now, we know it wasn't an official 007 vehicle, but it was damn cool, so we'll just cover it briefly here. This Soviet-Russian battle tank graced the movie screen for the first time in 1995 in GoldenEye. It was so iconic that it also made a second cameo appearance in Die Another Day, and it was used at the Ministry of Defense in St. Petersburg. Talk about a perfect match. And since we're already covering iconic modes of transportation, how can we forget about the spaceship? I'm talking about the phallic-looking spaceship that ate other spaceships in lower Earth orbit. The movie might have had some of the worst special effects of any James Bond film, but the spaceship was nonetheless memorable. So now let's get serious with the Aston Martin. Aston Martin DB5. When the Aston Martin DB5 pulls up for James Bond, it isn't just a car, it's a Bond signature. And it started with Sean Connery's 1964 film Goldfinger. It's classy, dangerous, and most importantly, it's British. For some reason, when Sean Connery gets behind the wheel of the DB5, it somehow makes him look even cooler. If you're wondering which car started the trend of James Bond chasing villains in style, this is the one. The classic DB5 comes with a graceful, timeless design. Underneath that sleek exterior is a 4.0-liter straight-six engine, producing around 282 horsepower in its original iteration, giving it smooth yet potent performance for the era. It was fast enough to keep up with high-stakes chases, but also comfortable enough for Bond's refined taste. In Bond's hands, the DB5 isn't just a means of transport. It turns into a whole new character in its own right. And since we're talking about Aston Martins, Aston Martin V8 Vantage. The Aston Martin V8 Vantage that Bond drives in The Living Daylights is pure old-school Bond flair. Powerful, a little rough around the edges, and packed with theatrical gadgetry. Eon Productions issued Bond a 1985 V8, carrying the famous plate B549WUU. And the movie showcases both a V8 Volante convertible and hardtop V8s that do the heavy lifting in the winter chase sequences. Under the bonnet, the V8 used in the film is a big 5.3-liter V8. This is a naturally aspirated engine that delivers strong torque and the authoritative rumble the character needs for a mountain escape. Q Branch winterized the car with ice tires, retractable outriggers, and a rear rocket booster for the film's stunts, turning a Grand Tourer into a battlefield-ready Bond car. By bridging the gap between classic Aston Martin elegance and brutal 1980s muscle, it gave Timothy Dalton a machine that looked as deadly as it sounded and that could plausibly be kitted out by Q. The V8's screen presence and gadgets cemented its place in Bond lore and helped revive the Aston 007 partnership. Toyota 200 GT convertible. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you liked the video so far. At one point, this was Daniel Craig's favorite Bond car, which Sean Connery got to drive. It was featured in You Only Live Twice, and it has been heralded as one of the greatest Bond cars. The 2000 GT itself was Toyota's first true foray into the sports car market, powered by a 2.0-liter inline-six engine with triple carburetors, paired with a 5-speed manual gearbox producing around 148 brake horsepower. Its styling turned heads with pop-up headlights and wraparound windows, giving it a futuristic edge for 1967. Only 351 were ever made, and no convertibles were sold to the public, making it a rare gem. For filming, 2 production models were quickly transformed into soft tops to accommodate Sean Connery's frame. The conversion was completed in just 2 weeks, with a black tonneau cover masking the rough edges. One of these cars resurfaced in Hawaii in 1977, returned to Japan, and was restored to join the Toyota Museum, while the fate of the other remains a mystery. Wet Nelly. Nothing says James Bond more than Wet Nelly. Not because it's fast or luxurious, but because with the push of a button, the car transforms into a submarine. In one breathtaking moment, what looks like a sleek Lotus Esprit suddenly plunges into the sea and transforms into a fully functional submarine. That plunge absolutely stunned audiences and instantly elevated the Esprit from sports car cool to sci-fi dream. Under the hood, and under the hull, Wet Nelly was a modified Lotus Esprit S1 equipped for aquatic operations. The film version was converted with a watertight body, periscope, dual-tail rudders, and functional dive planes that let it swim beneath the waves. According to the production team, it was capable of functioning as a road-legal car and disappearing beneath the surface of the ocean, making for one of cinema's most memorable vehicle escapes. Thanks for watching. Here's another video car enthusiasts loved watching.